Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Pav is fucking pissed. But why am I pissed off exactly? You know, I never really come onto this channel and express genuine anger like this. I try to keep a laid-back, more cool, kind of collected personality on camera. But no, this time I'm actually genuinely fucking enraged at this new news that I have just learned about. De Nouveau by Irdetto, I don't care to pronounce your company's name correctly, launches the first Nintendo Switch emulator protection technology to safeguard games launched on the Nintendo Switch. That's right. That De Nouveau. You know De Nouveau, the anti-cheat that is best known for bogging down a game's performance and ultimately ruining many PC ports of hotly anticipated games? You know that De Nouveau? Yeah, it's gonna launch on Nintendo Switch and it's gonna be available forced on for every single fucking game to prevent people like me from playing Nintendo Switch games on their Steam Deck. That is it. God, I predicted this would fucking happen too. You know what? When I saw that the Steam Deck came out and I saw that people were immediately emulating Switch games on it, I knew for a fact that Nintendo was going to do some fucking bullshit to prevent people from playing the games the way they want to. And lo and behold, here's the fucking news. Let's go ahead and read this article today, shall we? Oh great, now it's not loading. Perfect. Yep, that sums up De Nouveau in a nutshell. You know, the fucking article that I'm trying to read to give this news out, it's not loading. Just not loading at all. How wonderful. Fuck you, De Nouveau. The innovative solution solves a long-lasting issue of emulating pirate Nintendo Switch games on PC, addressing the widespread piracy on multi-platform releases. This is going to just boil my blood. I've only skimmed this article. I haven't actually fully read it yet, and I'm going to read the whole thing on video, so I'm not cutting anything out. Anything I do cut out is just for the sake of brevity. De Nouveau, the global leader in providing security solutions for video games on desktop, console, and mobile platforms, is pleased to unveil a revolutionary technology of screwing over legitimate customers, to protect games launching on Nintendo Switch from piracy. The announcement comes as the video game industry is gathered for this year's Gamescom, currently taking place in Germany. That's why they're announcing this now, because everybody's going to be focused on fucking Gamescom and all those different announcements, that this one's just going to kind of slip under the radar. And then all of a sudden, like 3 months from now, all the Switch games you buy are just going to run twice as bad on your platform. And you're like, whoa, what the fuck? Why is the game running so shit? Because of this. Nintendo consoles have long suffered from piracy issues, and the Switch is no different. Where's your source on that, De Nouveau? How are you making that claim? Who'd you talk to? Nintendo? Oh, Nintendo's gonna tell you anything to make their shit work. Ooh. Has Nintendo consoles always suffered from piracy issues? I don't really know about that one. Even if a game is protected against piracy on its PC version, the released version on Switch can be emulated from day one and played on PC, therefore bypassing the strong, overbearing, over-fucking-zealous protections offered on the PC version. This can happen with any of the numerous games available on Switch. By preventing piracy on Switch while blocking unauthorized emulation on PC, studios are able to fuck over their loyal consumer base and generate more revenue during a game's launch window, which is the most important period in regard to monetization. The Nintendo Switch emulator protection will ensure that anyone wishing to play the game has to buy a legitimate copy. It's not like people don't dump their fucking games from the legitimate copies they bought and own to play them in a way that is strictly superior. God help you, Nintendo. God fucking help you. With all other De Nouveau solutions, the technology integrates fucking abhorrently into the build toolchain with very, very big impact on games' performances. It then allows for the insertions of checks into the code to then allow De Nouveau to spy on you because they can't fucking help themselves, which blocks gameplay on emulators. Quote, we at De Nouveau understand that piracy negatively affects the gaming industry and are working with the industry parties to ensure that they have the latest protection technologies available to them. Our team is excited to provide a solution that helps the developers and publishers to help fight the issue of Nintendo Switch piracy. Is this an issue? Is it? It cuts into Nintendo's bottom line, so I guess it is an issue. But genuinely speaking, how many Nintendo Switch games are pirated? I want to know the exact number. Here we go. Here's a number provided by Denuvo. Even though it is hard to pinpoint the exact number of players who emulate Switch games on PC, yeah, it's impossible to figure that out. It is easy to find online forums dedicated to emulation and piracy. The most popular groups have more than 1 million followers each. Research conducted with Denuvo and Omdia found that 84% of game developers are continuously concerned about tampering and piracy. The study also found that 93% of those using anti-cheat and anti-tamper solutions are satisfied with the protection and value brought by games protection technologies. I love how they're talking about this perspective of the developers and not at all touching upon how fucking abysmal the experience makes legitimate customers. Because obviously they're not going to talk about that. They're trying to sell their bullshit fucking services. Denuvo is at the forefront of fucking over games performances on PC, with over 2 billion unique game installs ruined across all platforms, and over 1,000 games absolutely fucked over. For more information on Denuvo, you can kiss my ass. I understand that Nintendo's run by a bunch of fucking dinosaurs. How the fuck did you think that this is going to be the thing that saves your fucking public image right now? Because right now your public image to hardcore gamers isn't looking too great, especially to people who watch this channel continuously. Here are the 2 videos I've made recently talking about how to emulate games on various Nintendo consoles, and made a point to not direct people on how to pirate their video games, and instead gave them the resources needed to dump the games themselves and actually use the real copies of games that they bought in real life. Here's a video I made about how fucking devastated I was when I found out that legitimate copies of various DS and 3DS games were just dying inexplicably. At the end of the day, that problem ended up being some poor soldering jobs. Still, very scary thing. I'm looking at my GameCube right now. You can even see my Wii U here in the frame. I'm looking at both of these consoles. I can play these consoles right now, but guess what? They're gonna break one day. I might be able to fix them, but then guess what? The discs that the games are actually on, they're just gonna fucking evaporate one day, and there's nothing I can do to save that. NESs, actual, real working NESs are a hot commodity nowadays, because guess what? They're fucking breaking. Hardware like this can't last that long. You can't expect someone to just go out to a used game store and buy a fucking copy of Little Nemo on NES and just go home and play it on their console on their legitimate CRT. Only crazy people do that, because I did that. I didn't buy a copy of Little Nemo, but like, you know what I mean. If Nintendo is really this concerned about piracy on their platforms, motherfuckers, you should actually give people the options to buy your fucking games. And even for the new releases that are coming out nowadays, I guarantee you, the majority of people who are emulating these games right now are doing it off of real copies that they bought themselves. But oh, suddenly I'm the bad guy because I occasionally use Dolphin every now and then. I can't tell you how just fed up with Nintendo I am. I'm currently working on a Steam Deck review right now, and paragraph fucking 1 is me complaining about all the things that Nintendo is currently doing wrong with their Switch and how the Steam Deck does that infinitely better. I know comparing the Switch and the Steam Deck is a loser's game and really shouldn't be done in the first place, but in my personal experience, yes, the Steam Deck is just a better Switch in my eyes. And now I'm gonna have to fucking really overblow that part of the review and delay it by a little bit so that I can squeeze in some Nintendo Switch emulation. Because fuck you, Nintendo. I understand that game developers and the people who make these games need to make their bag. I understand that people need to get paid for the work that they do. Nintendo's one of the richest companies in the world right now. They're not really struggling all that much, are they? This isn't the case of a developer of something like Vomitorium, a really fantastic Metroidvania FPS game that you really should play. Linked in the description to that game. This small group, I think it's only made by one guy. Let me actually fact check that. Okay, yeah, one guy who goes online by the name of Scumhead. I would never in a million years advocate for the piracy of like smaller independent devs and their games that they've made out of sheer passion for video games and the artistry that goes into that. But Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, EA, Activision, Blizzard, Ubisoft, all these fucking big name game companies, what do they have to lose? They're doing fine. Okay, Ubisoft maybe not doing that much fine anymore. But Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony, they are kings. The actual fucking kings in the gaming industry right now. And Nintendo is doing better than it ever has in its entire history. Losing a couple thousand sales because some dude in Eastern Ukraine is deciding, hey, I want to pirate this fucking video game because I literally can't buy it right now. Just because they want to fucking feel something and play Metroid Dread or something. I don't fucking know what the situation is. I don't know. There's 8 billion people on this planet, and every single one of them has a different reason for piracy. They could genuinely just be malicious people, and they want to get games for free, and they never buy a single game in their life because, fuck you, I guess not. There's people who the game is just not available in their region, so they can't buy it even if they wanted to. Or people who just can't afford to play these games but still want to play them anyway. They're just going to pirate them and play them on their emulators. Or they could just, I don't know, maybe buy the game legitimately and dump the game that they own to then play it on objectively superior hardware. There's more that goes into this gigantic issue of piracy and emulation than just people want game free, steal from Nintendo. But apparently not according to Nintendo. This is a very black and white situation. Anybody who pirates is a criminal, and they deserve to be fucking stoned to death in the middle of town square. I'm sorry, here's a bit of a fact check. This hardware is extremely outdated. It can barely run games on it. And yet Nintendo thinks that this is totally fine. And you know what? I don't really give a shit. Nintendo can do what Nintendo does. They always have underpowered hardware. The Switch is even more underpowered than like anything else that they've ever produced. But fucking whatever. They're gonna do what they do. So then just let me take my copy of Metroid Dread that I fucking bought and let me play it on my hardware that I want to use. But no, apparently fucking media switching and dumping games, that makes me a criminal. God, fuck you, Nintendo. Okay. I feel a bit better now. I'm still mad, but I feel a bit better just being able to vent all that out. I used to be a really big Nintendo fan, you know? I've bought every single console, every single handheld thing that they ever put out. I've got multiple different versions of Game Boys, DSs, 3DSs. I have a collection of DS and 3DS games right above my computer monitor that I can look at all the fucking time. I have a GameCube sitting here right in my fucking set. Every single video has this GameCube in it. These are all the Nintendo published games that I bought on Nintendo Switch, not including the digital-only releases that I bought on my Switch. I support this company. I don't want to anymore. I bought my game. I'm going to play it the way I want to. I own the game. I'm not going to give it to people. I'm not going to dump the game and distribute it because that would actually be piracy. And I'm not a pirate. I'm just someone who knows what they have and how to get the most out of it. I was excited for like Splatoon 3 and Breath of the Wild 2 and the new Pokemon game. I know that that's Pokemon Company technically and not Nintendo, but falls under the same umbrella, on the same platform and everything. I was excited for those games. I don't think I'm going to play them now. Like, honestly, I think I have so much more that I could be playing that, like, why would I need to effectively waste $60 on three games that I would very much well enjoy. Just the bad feelings that Nintendo carries with it now. It's too much for me. I based my entire online presence on Nintendo stuff, or at least I did before I switched over to Linux. For God's sakes, the character that I had before Bizmo was just Bob from Animal Crossing. Like, I am deeply interconnected with this media property, you know, with this media company, for better or for worse. And I just feel betrayed, honestly. I felt betrayed last time. I felt betrayed the other two videos I made. This one, this is just malice. Like, there's no way you can spin this and make it like this is good for Nintendo, actually. Because, imagine playing Metroid Dread on this thing that, you know, runs at half the frame rate that it normally would run on. Because the Nuvo's this just heavy fucking ball and chain, and it ruins games' performances, and it ruins the release of genuinely good games. Remember when Doom Eternal had Denuvo built into it? Remember when Sonic Mania had Denuvo built into it? Remember any of the other numerous games that came out on Steam that had Denuvo on it, and it was just abysmal until they removed it later? Now that's going on essentially a cell phone, an 8-year-old cell phone. Thanks for watching whatever this video was. Sorry it was so... Nah. I'm not gonna make videos like this for a while now. I don't like being angry on my channel. It's not fun. I don't appreciate making these kinds of videos. I want things to be good. I want to show you good things. I want to show you how to play your games the best you possibly could. I want to show you how to do cool things on Linux. I want to just provide a nice escape from real world issues, not just for you, but also for myself. And I just can't. There's no escape from this. Anyway, thanks for watching again, I guess.